Hey, sure.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I made it. I figured it out.
Hey,
And so
great.
we have Lita's with us.
I'm
Can
trying to
you
figure that out.
hear us okay?
Hi.
Oh,
Hi,
you can. Great.
beautiful.
Okay. Yay. Okay, great. So I came a little early. So we'll just wait a couple minutes, but thanks everybody. And thank you, Charmaine.
Yeah, can you guys see me? Because I can't see myself.
Yeah, I
Really?
totally
I
see
can see
you.
you.
I
Okay.
see
Turn
your
on the
sunflower
video.
tapestry.
Yeah, my video is on, but you guys are the only
Maybe you'd
two.
have to hit the view thing.
It's very strange. Usually I pop up somewhere in these things. Let's see. Full screen. I only see the two of you. I wonder, oh, maybe that's because Lita joined first. I don't know if, 'cause-
Maybe if you go up in the upper right, there's a little thing that says view, and there's
yeah.
like gallery view, and then speaker view.
Yeah, I pushed gallery view. So
Oh, okay.
I'm wondering if maybe only two people can be in it.
No, I've
Oh,
seen
'cause
with many people.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
lots of people can usually go on there.
Huh.
let's see.
Well, as long
Maybe
as you guys can see me, because I can't.
yeah, totally. You look great.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So it's four. So I'm Katie, and I have a photography business called Panos Productions, and it's named after my dad. That's why it's called Panos. So because that was his name. And so yeah, so I'm just doing these webinars to try to kind of I don't know, reach out to other like women businesses and kind of work together, collaborate, and maybe bring information mostly to not only women, but often women, um, that to help them through whatever they're doing. So for instance, maybe it could be a doula, like Charmaine also is, or who else did I have? Last time I had like a vegetarian or vegan, plant-based mom, and helping your family go plant-based and all that. So that's who I am. So today we're here to listen to Charmaine talk. Well, I'm going to ask her a few questions about what it is to be a life coach and how it can help us navigate our challenges. Let me admit one more person here. So Charmaine, go ahead and tell us a little bit about you, and yeah, I guess the first question is going to be, what's a life coach and how is that different from like going to therapy?
Yeah, yeah, okay. Um, Charmaine is the name I was given, and it's been a long journey of finding out who I am. And I think that was the most important thing that led me to what I do today is 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 how much that gave me as a person. It gave me so much hope that life is fun and that you can really be in charge of it and you can create it, and learning how to do it, how to manifest, um, in not in full desire, without the lack and without the need. Because when we have lack and we have need, then it's implying to the universe that we don't have it, so it kind of keeps it away from us. So just really practicing all of these things for myself and seeing how powerfully they work, um, and that began because of an acting career. Learning how to manifest jobs, how to manifest an agent, how to manifest getting into different acting schools, how to, manifesting getting to California, getting to Los Angeles, getting a green card. I mean, all of these things came from all of the work that I had to do on myself. And so I wanted to share that, of course. So how it differs from like a counselor or a psychologist, we really dive into what's going on in the mind. And instead of conversely, like in psychology, there's a lot of talk therapy. So you really talk it out. Here, I'm going to give you exercises. I'm going to give you things to look for. We're gonna pull out different pieces from 0 to 7, because the mind really is like an iceberg. So the conscious mind is the tip of the iceberg. The unconscious mind is what we don't see. So it's all the dormant stuff that started from literally from when we were in our grandma's womb, because our eggs as women were in our grandmother's womb, and then they were with us all through our mother's journey as well. Our imprint, our DNA imprint, was with us through our mother. So we really dive in, and we use different tools like the human design. Now I really incorporate that into my coaching practice, as well as, if we'll touch on that later, but releasing trapped emotions in the body. We can just really go back to whatever it was. We can do just in the mind, things that we recall that have significant meaning for us are very important. So we go back and we heal those moments, and then we call in something new for the future, really, while activating ourselves in the present. So it differs in that psychology too. You work a lot on a lot of traumas, and being with a life coach is a lot about personal development. Even if you've had traumas, people still come to me with traumas, but if it's a severe trauma, they usually have gone through some counseling or some psychological therapy to work that out. If it's deep depression, people still come to me, but they may have a psychologist as well on the side dealing with that. But sometimes I hear, like, I've been seeing a psychologist for 30 years and I just had got the answer, sitting in one session with you. So yeah.
You actually said a lot there. I could ask tons of questions, but I'm just going to stick with our little script to start, and then
Okay.
I'll let the people here, Lita and Tanya, ask questions. So what kind of life coach are you, and what does love alchemy mean?
Okay. So I would say I'm a spiritual life coach. I work with the divine. I work with the angelic realm. Anyone can. It's just that, I've learned that I operate much better when I give myself to source and let source speak through me. And that's part of what I also would teach any client in a container with me, is just to begin to trust that, the trust in the universe, that everything is here in divine timing. So that means that the things that come out of your mouth, you no longer need to worry. Did I say something wrong? Did I do something wrong? That kind of questioning no longer plagues you. Okay. When you really, really trust, as long as you're moving from a place of a heart-centered love for the universe, then that's what you will receive. So, so that's what kind of life coach I am. And then love alchemy is alchemy, in the ancient days, was the transformation from one metal to another. Like they could transform, they were working to transform things into gold or silver. And it's kind of the essence of us. Like those are very high vibrational metals on the planet. And we're going through a transformation. Like we are constantly going through a metamorphosis of being that caterpillar, going into the chrysalis. But it's the tough part. Like this is the hardest part, because we don't know what's on the other side of that. Yeah. We can't. The only thing we could do is prepare now for, in the moment of who we are, and then we get to live what's on the other side of that.
Mm.
So a lot of us, a lot of people come to me because they're going through some really tough stuff that no human should ever have to go through. Um, but at the same time, when you zoom out and you look at the big picture, you see this massive transformation of the person. You see that everything they went through, they had to go through to get to what their highest soul's intention was on this planet. Like nothing is a mistake. Nothing is, even the toughest stuff, getting to the place where we have forgiveness. These are things we also work on: forgiveness, gratitude. Like, in examples where somebody does something horrible to us. Yes, those things can be unforgivable, but we don't ever have to have that person back in our lives. But in order to be free of them, we need to forgive their unconscious acts because they didn't know what they were doing, and so it frees us to forgive the act, just so that we can move on and we can grow from these experiences, as tough as that can be sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little bit that I'm hearing. It's almost like it's harder than being a therapist. That's like really deep stuff. Deep stuff.
It's
So,
deep
so with
stuff.
that, so what drew you to this? So, I mean, not to like pry, but so did you have like some pivotal moment of like deep trauma and like this existential like cluelessness that somehow drew you to this, or what
Yeah,
happened?
it was really a questioning that I had about existence. None of it made sense to me. It didn't make sense to me that I went to a church, a Lutheran church growing up, that said that, you would die and go to heaven or hell, when there was a young boy my age that was in a wheelchair, and, he was moving around with a metal in his mouth because he couldn't walk or he couldn't speak. And so I would go home at night after church and I would say, God, why him and not me? If we only have this one life.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
and then I went on this very deep journey of like being in these groups of very spiritual people. Like I stayed in France at some people called it a cult, uh with these people that, they could speak in tongues. I had no idea what that was. But these were the kind of places I started to find myself in, just because I was just so curious about, it's got to be bigger. And I had this deep love and desire to help people. And, I what I realized too is like, I was even like, yeah, I'll just share a little thing. I was given this award in school they gave me an award that they made up, because it was like the person who loved everybody. Like there was no award for that. It was like, I had a birthday and I told my mom everybody has to come because I'm friends with everybody and I don't want anybody to be left out in both the classes. So it's like
Right.
everybody came to my house, and that's always how it's been, because I don't want to leave anyone out. And what I've realized is that I have been Jewish, I have been Black, I have been gay, I have been murdered, I have done all these things in order to get to the place where I can sit in front of a client and not have any judgment. It's deep. I always get deep in these things, but
Yeah, no, it definitely, definitely deep. All right. So what kind of people come to you then? So like who hires you, and what do they usually need coaching around or for?
so many different things. Like sometimes people are leaving their relationship, or they desire to leave a relationship, or they're just not happy with their current jobs. A lot of that, like a lot of uh, um, just that, like, wondering what this life is about. Some people come because of depression, anxiety, somebody like if there's any loss in somebody's life, um, of a child, a family member, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, um, if there's trauma, a lot of abuse, just kind of getting over being sexually abused. Like, how do you forgive that? How do you move on from that? How do you begin to trust in a relationship after that? All of these things, like, if there's any sadness or just lack of joy, people will find me that way. Some people come to me because they're wanting to learn about money and money mindset. Um, Self love is a big one.
Yeah.
That's a huge one.
Huge one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is huge. So, all right. So these people come to you, and so then what? So is it just, I mean, I know it's not just one session and you're cured or whatever, but,
Yeah.
but like, how does it work? Like, what does a session look like? And is it something, do you meet 3, 4 times, or you just kind of figure it out as you go?
So, I usually say it's about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, because sometimes an hour just doesn't complete it. So I want us to have at least that space, um, because I don't think anything is linear. I think that when the moment, we want to come to some completion in the hour or hour and 15 minutes we're together. Um, and so generally, sometimes people come with a question, like they'll text me and say, this is what I want to work on this week. Or sometimes we just leave it up to source and whatever is coming up for them this week. Or there's exercises from the previous week that we will look at, like, hey, how did this go? And did you write your list of what you want to create for your new job or for your new home or for your new partner? I believe lists are hugely important because you're telling the universe what you want to create. So sometimes we kind of go over that. Um,
Mm.
we practice speaking things into existence. So I'm constantly catching my clients if they have a thought that is not creating what they want in their lives. For example, if somebody keeps talking about a lack of time, I don't have time, I don't have the resources, I don't have, so that kind of language actually prevents us from getting it faster. So we'll do a double check along as they're sharing. Um, and a lot happens in those 1 hour sessions. And it's kind of like an onion. As we start to peel back the layers, we peel back the layers, or even like a diamond, like diamonds are created with pressure. So it's like putting a little bit of pressure from in a non-judgmental space of divine love, that's like, hey, I hear you, I got your back, and I'm going to reflect to you places where you can grow, um, with the most love. So you always feel safe, you feel heard, you feel seen, you feel protected, like whatever I'm saying stays in this container. And then at the end of the session, I will ask you what you're taking away from your session, just because I want you to review it for yourself so that you can look back at your notes, or you can really take a moment to see what really hit and take that in. Because often this moment of reflection back on the last hour, is what solidifies the moment, what solidifies the learning, what solidifies, um, what the takeaway is. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. So, I mean, and these are such like linear questions, but like how long? I mean, so people work with you. I'm sure there's like it varies on everybody, but would you, if someone asked how long do people work with the life coach? I mean, obviously, I'm sure it's just going to vary, but
Yeah, I have a couple clients that have been with me from the very beginning. They're very successful women and one man, and they just love having this weekly checkup with me. And to them, it's completely like so much value to them.
I can see
This,
that.
yeah, just having someone to check in with. It's just
Yeah.
a new perspective, a new way of looking at something. And and then some people just do one package and they're good to go and they're flying high. And then, I recently had another client who did one package and then she took some time off and she was like just running with life. And then she hit like a roadblock. It wasn't even a roadblock. She was just like, I'm ready to upgrade again. That was why she called me. She was like, I'm ready to do this again. And like, it was so fun. I had so much expansion working with you and I want to go again. And, so, I mean, it's been amazing. So it just varies. It just varies and for me, I, it's like I had a girlfriend in town the other day and I was expressing to her, um, that my clients have become my best friends, you know,
Yeah.
because calling in sisters, I've worked with a lot of women and some men and brothers that are just, I've got a piece to their puzzle that they need, so it's not like anybody's below me or like some women that know way more than me about business and architecture and design or whatever. They're also teaching me. I'm not the one that's sitting here, I'm better than everyone. I'm calling in people who are a divine reflection of me so we can shift the energy of the planet together and create beautiful things together. And eventually, I mean, I already see it all happening. A lot of the clients that I work with have these amazing gifts that eventually, when we open up a school or healing centers, everyone is going to be a part of it, and
Yeah.
being able to serve the community, each other. Yeah.
So I asked both Lita and Tanya to unmute. Since there's only a few of us, did you have any questions? I can ask all these pre-written questions, but did you want to ask Charmaine anything?
I really don't have anything to ask. I pretty much know what Charmaine does. I just saw Charmaine.
Oh, okay.
And that visit was so amazing.
Okay.
It was short, but oh boy. So yeah, I don't really have any questions. I'm also at work.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I had myself kind of muted just in case I have customers and stuff.
Oh, no, that's fine. No, I just feel like, if there's 40 people here, that's one thing, but
yeah, no.
Yeah, okay,
What
great.
about
No worries. All right, Antonia, how about you?
I much like Led, I also I just started working with Charmaine, and so it's been we've had one session so far, and like she mentioned earlier, like it was like, yes, I've gone to therapy before, but the way that she honed in and found the weak spots, and like the ability to go in and heal it was completely lights out, totally different than any therapy that I've gone to, and completely transformational.
I can imagine.
And that was like one session. So I'm here for the whole ride and probably many rides.
Yeah, I would imagine. I guess I'm probably the one that knows the least of this. It sounds what I'm hearing. There's a lot of courage here. You need to be willing to a lot of self-exploration.
Yeah.
So I do have one question though so far, and that you started off, Charmaine. Almost the first thing you said was something like, if there's hope or need, something, we if we think or spend a lot of energy on hoping or spend a lot of energy on feeling like we need that is almost counterproductive. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, just wanting something and needing something is different than coming at it from a place of desiring.
Oh,
Even the word desire is expansive. And, I think the first time I ever heard this was Abraham Hicks. They said that, and it made so much sense to me because I feel like we feel so guilty for desiring more, for desiring a bigger house, for desiring a nice car, for desiring a beautiful partner that wants to ravish you every few seconds or brings you flowers or whatever,
right.
But the thing is, a
Around that
human
way.
being,
Or it should, unless they don't have it open, you can maybe go this way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
maybe we'll
Sorry,
just,
it's like
oh,
an
that's
Sorry.
okay. We'll just mute you, love.
It's my bad.
Oh, no,
Bad
no,
host.
it's okay. So a human being will always desire more, and that's okay. That's part of our makeup. So, but then when we want something, so I am currently in a situation where I'm desiring a bigger home. I'm desiring, very clean white walls with beautiful furniture and lovely rugs and a house manager and maybe somebody who really loves to clean and do laundry, and that's their passion, and I'm willing to pay them really well. And just having like a beautiful garden. I already have a beautiful garden, but you know just even saying all of that, just the way, did you see how I said it? Instead of like, I'm sick of being in this apartment that's falling
Right.
apart and there's construction next door, and it's just, it begins like, basically I'm just telling the universe what I don't want instead of telling the universe what I do desire.
That makes sense. It really does. Yeah, it's funny because I have an advanced degree in philosophy. That's how I started in life. Is I wanted to be a college professor. So all of this, makes a lot of sense to me. So you mentioned human design, and that was actually our next question. So what is it, and how do you incorporate this idea of human design into your work with people?
Sure. I wish I had the book. Do I have it here? I work with it a lot. I find it super fascinating uh, because it makes so much sense. So, for myself and my husband, I did it for us first. And I am a generator. And as a generator, you can't chase things. And when I found this out, I was like, whoa, everything that I ever chased didn't work out. Whatever's worked out for me, it just landed in my lap. Now, from a place of desire, from a place of making lists, from a place of telling the universe what I desire to create. I like to use the word desire more than want, because want implies you don't have. So again, it's coming from lack. So,
Right.
just really, that made so much sense to me. So I stopped chasing things. And then you can go deeper into your human design, and there's a profile, and some of the things it says about the profile, like, you lay in your crib. It's it's just so deep. Like, people start to cry when I read them, and then when I read them, parts of their design, and then we incorporated it into the coaching because it makes so much sense. For example, sometimes, um, let me give you an example, a recent example with a client. Um, it was someone who needed approval. She needed a lot of approval. This is part of her design. So she was wondering why she always needed to go to her mom, and she wanted her mom to like tell her she was doing the right thing and tell her how amazing she was. And because her mom was the closest person to her, And that's why it's also really beneficial for her to have a coach, someone that can always be like, you are amazing, you are awesome. Like just really reflecting that from an authentic place. Like we take for granted that, like if we have a partner that says all the time, you're beautiful, after a while, we don't really hear it so much, but if we're open to growing and learning in a container with somebody, when somebody says that to you, that loves you and gets you, then, and they also show you too where there's corners you can grow and stretch and reach and shift and change, then it's gonna impact you a lot more, having that support. So for her, just knowing, wow, this is part of who I am. It's not a fault that I need to be seen and heard and appreciated. That's not something, like she was thinking it might have been a trauma from her childhood or something. But it was, no, it was right there in her human design. Like, this is who you are. This is what you need. you know? So yeah, it makes perfect sense. There's also something called a projector, which, I'd love to do your human design, Katie. Like perhaps you're even a projector, because it's like, Princess Diana was a projector, and she is like, sometimes, she was so shy sometimes, and I don't know if, like, sometimes, who knows, you may be a projector or a generator too, but what happens with a projector is they need to be invited in. So for a lot of projectors, when they find out that they need the invitation in order to shine, because they're like the birds, they're like birds in the animal kingdom that sit in the tree and watch everything, and when they're invited to speak, they're geniuses. They really shine. And then another, a lot of clients also that come to me are manifesting generators. So that's like a combination of a manifester and a generator. And for them, they have to learn to taste the action before they jump on something. Because if they jump on something, it's not going to work out. For example, I had another client and she was like, I really want to do goat yoga. And she's a manifesting generator. And so I said, okay. Have you ever gone to a goat yoga class? Have you ever gone and scoped out a goat farm and what it's like for goats that actually work in goat yoga? Go and do those things. Dip your feet in the water before you go out and buy the goats and like start advertising goat yoga, and then you decide that you don't want to do it. And so it, you save a lot of time knowing your human design. And also, I'll say one more thing quick. When you know who you are, no one can play you, because you know who you are. So hey, I do this. Let me think of an example for myself. Um, you know, uh,
Well, like you're an actor and you're in Hollywood, so probably you can think of an example
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, even
of when people were maybe maybe not being so truthful about your chances at X, Y, or Z or something.
right, yeah. Well, right, maybe people pleasing, like, that could be something like that's not really in my human design. But oh, here's one of the things in my human design, that I want everybody to love me. And I want everybody to love me in my human design, and that isn't always possible. So that was like, it could be a weakness, because if you have, let's say, if you have 1,000 people that follow you, there's going to be at least 10% that don't like what you have to say. And that's just a ratio that is for anyone that puts themselves out there. But you'll notice that when you're putting yourself out there, there's still a ton of views, but maybe not so many likes, because sometimes it takes a moment for something to sink in for something before they actually get you, but they keep on watching, they keep on listening. So it's just like finding that balance and knowing, like, it's okay if not everybody's going to get you, and just embracing that. So it's very, very extremely helpful.
I bet. So, so you talked about, so what I'm hearing, tell me if I'm off, but part of what you do, it's almost like a reading in a way. I mean, you help people understand really, yeah, I mean, how they're set up, how they're designed, what's their core inner, I think we might, in Western philosophy, we might say, what's our essence, like who are we? So that's like, I can see that would be like totally invaluable. I mean, so that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And so, so then the next question here would be to ask you what you mentioned earlier. I'm sorry, that you're sort of a spiritual, you focus on people's spirituality or their spiritual life. So what other like tools do you have in your toolkit? So human design is one thing. And I think I saw that you do all kinds of, I don't know if it's goat yoga, but you had something on Instagram, you were breathing like a certain way.
Oh, yes. I teach Kundalini yoga, and I've been a teacher of that for 8 years. So I incorporate meditation into our sessions.
Oh, wow, okay.
I teach people how to breathe, because breathing, we have our first trauma, usually at our birth, and our breath goes right into our chest, and it never drops back down into the belly. And so I heard the other day, someone was like, I don't want to breathe like that because I don't want to be fat. But the thing is,
I saw you were sitting like kind of lotus, and it was, you weren't breathing here. It was like your tummy was, I'm like, how does she do?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I could
practice. It takes practice. When I was first, so babies breathe like this. And honestly, when I was first on my spiritual journey, I found myself in a financial meeting, and oh my God, I think I had like almost like a panic attack. I never had this experience before where my heart was beating so fast because I was like, oh my God, I'm in so much trouble. I don't have any of this money and I don't know what I'm going to do. And and my brain was going off. And this is when I was first learning to breathe. I was like, wow, I know why I'm here. It's just to breathe. And and I took my breath back into my belly. And you practice by filling out your belly. I would drop the camera, but I'm not sure. I can't see myself, so I don't know what's happening. I don't want to take the camera too far down.
It's on your Instagram. I think we can.
Yeah,
you have the video there.
Yeah, you can.
I'm thinking, there. I watched that like 4 times, and I'm like, there is no way I could ever do that.
Yes, I'll teach you. It's very easy. But it's huge. I was jumping off Rainbow Falls. Sometimes I just want to play and do everything that the boys are doing, and they're like, come on. And so I was like, okay, I'm coming. And I found myself in a sinkhole, like coming near the fall. And it was so scary. And I was like, I call it God. I was like, God, is this it? I heard like this strong, use your yogic breath. And so I started breathing into my belly again. I found my state of consciousness, my state of peace. And my friend had a giant smile and was holding his hand, gripped onto the slimy, what's the wall. I forget what it's called, the green stuff, on the big waterfall. And he was holding on and grabbed my arm, and I was able to get out of there. And then another time I was in the ocean, and there was a current. I forget what it's called right now, but it was pulling us out. And I tried to swim, a riptide, and I tried to swim back, and I couldn't. And I started to get that nervousness again, and I used my breath. And then of course I had someone else calm, like pull me out of that. So it's huge. And when you start to learn to breathe like this and practice it on a daily basis, it's like nothing can throw you off your balance. Wow.
Sounds like it's like really grounding.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's a big part of it. There's so much. That's why we, a 12-month a 12-week container is what we do for the coaching, because it's not just one thing. We
Right.
clear up one thing, there's another thing, and this is like life, like it's
Like the
never,
onion.
yes,
Yeah.
it's a, someone, I had a client once, and I'm offering this bubble meditation as a free gift today, and she said, I want a permanent bubble. And I said, like the bubble of protection. And I said, I can't give you a permanent bubble. And anyone that tells you they can give you a permanent bubble is going to be lying to you, because there's, we're here to learn, to grow and evolve. So sometimes it's going to be challenging.
Yeah.
But it's learning how to navigate through the challenges with grace and ease. Like when something shows up, even an accident, it's like when two people get in an accident, boom, what's happening in both of their minds? Let's ask that question first.
Yeah.
Usually they're angry. They got in the car, they got in a fight with someone, or they were on the phone, a business call, and they were yelling at someone, boom. Right? Or there was some kind of psychological, deep, profound message for them, depending on what broke. So I also have a book. It's very powerful, and it's an extension of Louise Hay's work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You can heal your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know it, girl. You know it.
What? That book, anyway, yeah, well, this is sort of your platform, but oh my God,
No,
I remember
no,
that book
please
like in like
share.
80, must have been like maybe 90. I'm pretty old. So and I was
Stop
in like
it.
a bookstore, and I'm looking around, and there she was with her blonde hair and the rainbow on the cover, and it says you can heal your life. And I was just like, I could. Yeah. And I remember like I bought the book, and I remember reading through it. It was talked a lot about colors and like the food you eat, and all of it. And she had a list of like all of these ailments, whatever it was, from tinnitus to like bad breath and she had like an answer. Yeah. And anyway,
It
yeah,
is
that's my Louise Hayes
mind-blowing.
story.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing how it works. Like even an accident, even cancer, like cancer is just, look at the word. I also help my clients really use words to understand. We don't want to understand anything, because it's like we're standing under something. So something has power over us.
Right.
That's another wonderful book I often have clients start with if they're on the beginning of their spiritual journey. And one of my books was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. But like he explains in that book how you can notice when somebody has power over you, or you're letting someone take over their power, because often you see there's power struggle. So what I learned, and a lot of this stuff I started to learn as an actor, was like how to stand shoulder to shoulder with someone and see them as I see them as God. I see them like, even if somebody is more challenging, I don't really have any problems with anyone, because I see them as God. Like, it's like, really, I don't. Like, I'm just thinking right now, there's a lovely lady that lives upstairs that stays up all night and like bangs a lot on the ceiling. And really, like, she doesn't bother me anymore at all, because I've just been seeing her as God. Like, I just see her as a being of light. I see her as, that's the work. That's the work. And so that she hasn't, like, I've been sleeping through all the noise lately. It just doesn't bother me anymore. So you can shift all your relationships like that. Like, everybody you come in contact, if you feel that energy starting to take over you, you just beam them love. That's all it is. If you feel like somebody is like so above you and you're nervous around them, just remember they poo, they burp, they fart, they do everything that we do. We've got,
they
we
binge
all breathe
on Netflix.
Yeah, we all breathe the same air.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
we're
it's
like
true.
these. Yeah, go ahead.
So now, do you have any I mean, well, I was gonna ask if you have anything online. This seems to me, this is very personal, like online might not really be, I mean,
Well,
you tell me.
yeah, I'm actually launching a program on Tuesday,
Oh, wow.
June 6th, and it's calling in the one, calling in the divine partner,
Oh, wow.
calling,
Okay.
and essentially it's calling in yourself, because when you're fully in love with yourself, you magnetize everything into your life. So it's a 3-week program, and it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours on Tuesdays, 4 to 6.
Okay.
So yeah, and it's starting on Tuesday.
Sure. Someone here, someone's here. Let me let them in.
Oh, okay.
Welcome, Natasha or
Hi,
Natasha.
Natasha. Hi.
So yeah, no, well, all of this sounds like just yeah. I mean, I yeah. I mean, I can see why you would be. Okay, you seem to be really excited about what you do, and I can see why, because it's like sometimes, just use an analogy. Just I think I can speak for everyone. We all feel like we're like a bull like at the rodeo, and he's behind the gate, he's just like kind of raring to like get out.
Mhm.
And when you open the gate, then out he goes. And maybe that's not the best analogy, but I feel like that's maybe a little bit about what you offer is
Yeah.
we're there, and we just don't know, we can't open the gate, we have someone on our back and maybe kind of putting us down, and we're hearing the sounds of the crowd, which is our negative talk, or using words that are powerfully inappropriate, we don't even know, and then we're released into this arena, and at least that's the starting point. That's what I'm hearing. It sounds to me kind of what you do. So it's there's a lot of energy there, powerful. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm hearing.
No, you are so intuitive.
That's
Wow, I love that analogy, because you're exactly right. That's what it is. Like, when I did the teacher training, a yoga teacher training, and that's what really helped to get my mind like quiet, because I started to learn to meditate. And
right.
so when my mind started to get quiet, I heard myself. I tell this story a lot, but I was calling myself a dozy, like a no good for nothing bum. Because my mom used to call my dad that, like it was like a word from Saskatchewan, where I'm from in Canada. And then my mom called me, and she said, "Oh, your father's such a dozy." I was like, "Mom, we can't say that anymore," like, and and it was me like having this unconscious moment. Something had come up from the what I was explaining earlier, the iceberg. I had accessed a point. We have something like 30,000 thoughts per blink of an eye, and if 29,000 of those thoughts are you suck, you're ugly, you're no good, you'll never make it,
Right.
you
Yeah, it's
wonder
powerful.
why we're
Yeah.
this, like
And
feel like
we
we're
seem
in
to
a
be so
ring.
it seems so easy. I mean, obviously I'm speaking for myself, but it seems so much easier for us to accept the kind of negative stuff than to accept the sort of loving, accepting, this is who you are, you're a sentient being, you exist, you have every right to be here. I'm not sure if that's an American thing or they have this problem in Europe too. I don't know, but it seems just we seem so willing to just embrace the 29,000 thoughts that are kind of not so good for us. Yeah, like we just say it's a habit we have to just, and it sounds to me like that part of that what you do is you help to break it, the
Yeah.
habit.
Well, we help to figure out. So I also help my clients give their inner roommate a name. So we give the inner roommate a name, and then when we begin through the process of learning to meditate, we begin to hear what's going on in the mind. which
bet.
is usually comes down to about 7 different thoughts, which is, I'm no good.
Right.
I'm no good for nothing. You know, I don't
Nice
deserve
done.
love.
I don't
All
deserve it. I'm asking too much.
exactly.
Yeah,
And it
right.
all comes from our childhood. Like something happened from our childhood. So we weed those out and then we replace them with something else.
Makes sense.
But when we hear this, it's what really shifted everything for me was when I would hear this, in order to kind of what's the word, dilute her power. So my inner roommate's name was Bertha, and when she would say these mean things, I would be like, Bertha, that is not very nice. Like, you know, why are you saying these things to me? That's really hurtful. And then what I realized was she was just this scared, sad little girl that was looking for some attention. You know, it was this moment in time where something happened to her that she wasn't getting this love. And for me, it was like I was in a dance class. I was about 7 years old, and my dance teacher was smoking this like long cigarette, and she was just like, she was she just looked at me
What's
and
wrong with this picture?
yeah. She was like, you'll never amount to anything because you don't practice. You're worthless. And like, I was like 7.
Wow.
And
It's intense.
it's intense. Yeah. So I had to go through this process of feeling loved, feeling safe, feeling seen, feeling heard, feeling like that, you know, that I wasn't a loser if I didn't do what she said or whatever it was. I had to go and heal that. And so just that process of connecting with that inner roommate, connecting with that little girl, um, really helped. So now she's like, I've got her on my side now. And that takes practice. It doesn't, sometimes people like, we're in this kind of culture of like get quick, everything quick, like I want things really fast,
Right.
and that's not the way this works.
Download the app.
Download
Nope.
the app, like the girl who's like, I want the permanent bubble, and if you
Right.
can't give it to me, goodbye.
Right.
You know, so yeah, so it takes practice because it's your consciousness. And listen, if you want it to happen real fast, guess what, that's what accidents do for us. If you're like, okay, if I don't take this on myself of how to change my life, then we get cancer, we get these things happen to us to help us to wake up. That's why these things aren't the end of the world. Like, even like I was saying earlier, cancer is the answer. There
Right.
is something that the mind is thinking that is the reason that you manifested this tumor in your breast, or your, like, it depends. If it's the right side, it has to do with the masculine or your job. If it's the left side, it has to do with your motherhood wound, nurturing. And this is how we go about figuring out what's in the mind. When we can see what's in the mind, then we can shift. Then we can, like, it's like through the awareness we can heal it. It's literally like once you're like, ah, oh, 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 that's what it is. You have this aha moment that's so deep and profound, and then you see life completely different. Like that's really what the coaching is. It's like how to see life in a different way. And then it's kind of like everybody that goes through these processes, they get so excited, they want like, it's like, oh, wow, I want to share this with the world. And then a lot of people end up, having some sort of coaching practice
Oh,
in
interesting.
what they go on to do, because they find it really fascinating what they've been able to do with themselves. So
Okay, so we're winding down. So I think the last question we have is, what advice would you give someone who's just sort of starting? They're just maybe sort of realizing they're a spiritual being and they want to start doing something.
Yeah. Well, so what I did at first when I didn't have any money is I went to YouTube and I watched a ton of teal swan videos, and I listened to um, uh, Wayne Dyer and Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins was the beginning of my spiritual journey